Hello! Oh my god. What is wrong with my freaking microphone? Oh, yeah, get comfortable. Destoy, physical character movement like physics-based. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Physics-driven, physics-based. It's based. Oh my god, my internet is absolutely fucking decimated. What is wrong with my internet? My internet. Late night stream. It's only like 11 p.m. 11 p.m. start. So it's not too bad. Demikas, hello, hello. Long time no see indeed. Has been a little while. Amethyst, hello. Also has been a little while. Victoria. Or or like Melbourne, Sydney. Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane, I think, share the same time zone. Maybe not Brisbane. Maybe Brisbane's got weird. Or maybe Brisbane's the same when it's like daylight savings or some shit. I've been Godoting the last year, so I'm avoiding a lot of Unreal content. Hell yeah. Nice. Yeah, Godot seems to be coming along pretty nicely. I've seen a lot of people using it, which is cool. Alright, maybe my internet's a bit better now. I'm streaming at like a really low bitrate. Like giga low. Like 1.75k low. Fun fact, there's more kangaroo in Australia than human beings. Yeah. And they keep destroying our damn fences. Little hoppy bastards. Just started trying to do that for my project too. Been trying to get basic AI pathfinding, but tight corners are hard. True. True. Yeah, I'm not sure how I'm gonna... I haven't even thought about pathfinding yet, but it should be fine. Should be fine. Mine might actually be able to handle it, because I was thinking of doing a hard collision that goes up the torso of the character to like kind of their head. That like yeah, that's like the hard limit of their collision. But then doing a soft collision that goes out to their shoulders, which like kind of slowly collides, which is something we're gonna see if it is possible if it is today. How's the music volume, by the way, compared to my ugly voice? Yeah, go see John. No worries, no worries. Have a good one. Also, Despoiler, thank you very much for the follow. Is anxiety inducing? Yeah, true. I don't know what this one is. This is supposed to be my, like, chill list. Maybe I'll... Just that little, like, background horn is so... You know, I'm going to remove that one. 467. 467. Out it goes. It's no longer in my chill list. Nice. All right. Funny story. I upgraded to... How did my chat widgets just reset? So annoying. Oh yeah, true. Retargeting. Weird face. I recently upgraded to 5.5. And I suspiciously didn't have any issues upgrading to 5.5 from 5.3. Other than like a big text dump of like, oh, you need to change these things in the thing and the blah, blah, blah. And like I changed 2 things to just say 5.5, like build settings 5.5. And then it wouldn't compile the Visual Code solution. So I closed that, tried opening Engine, and it said, oh, all these plugins for a different, you know, thingo, do you want to try rebuild them automatically? And I just said yes. And then rebuilt everything and literally opens without errors, and then my Visual Studio Code solution just decided to compile. So I don't know, it's weird. It's suspicious. Someone said the editor became slower in 5.5. I guess people have different experience. Maybe. I haven't come across that yet. Alright, so if anyone remembers this. This was like the go away. This was the the test, or the proof of concept, right? For this whole system. Which we're going to redo from scratch. Because this was just seeing if it could kind of work, you know. Yeah. Why from scratch? Just because it's a little bit... It's messy. It's messy, and I just wanted to test if it would work. But some of the things I'm doing aren't really accurate. Yeah. Like, for example, the characters are pushing up from the ground up in world space, but technically they should be pushing out from the ground at a, you know, from the ground's normals, and then emitting friction to counteract their, like, sliding along the tangent of said normal. At least that's how I presume that walking works in real life, but I wouldn't know. I've never walked. Never been outside. Oh, and also there's no two-way, like, the characters don't actually emit a force with their feet, you know. Platform is rotating, not moving up and down. What you're describing is actually accounted for. It just doesn't really look like it there. But, yeah, characters do get pushed around, like, on rotating things. Because you can get the linear force at a given point of a physics object. So, like, if I said, oh, get me the physics point here, it would be moving, you know, this way, rather than, like... Do you know what I mean? So that's handy. Let me just fix these, like, blueprint errors. They're just like... Oh, no, fuck you. Am I just gonna die? Well, YOLO. Does this have, like, a player start? Okay. I am one with chair. That's the best way to live. I should move outwards, doesn't it? Yeah, so I'm gonna do a whole, like... There's, like, there's the actual movement side of it. And then there's also the animation side of it. Which, like, if I go to the test character... and go hidden... Hidden in-game, no. Maybe I can also do just like a... Is there like a... I guess like a literal mesh would be good. Cylinder, maybe? Okay, so now let's just collision. No collision, thank you. You good? It still has block with like... YOLO, YOLO, YOLO. YOLO Magolo. Okay, so here's like a character now. Yo, Mizu! How's it going? How are you? And how was the stream? And how are the animations going? So yeah, you can see here, the capsule isn't like one-to-one with the character animations. The character kind of... it's like... It's a thing. It's just... The mesh gets repositioned each frame. And then the lean gets applied in the animation. Using like an additive. But... I may go with like just like bone rotation solution instead of using like an entire additive animation. And then it also needs things like, technically the feet of this character should be going the other way, because they're like, this is like sliding underneath them. So there needs to be a discrepancy between the velocity, the intended velocity, and the velocity relative to the walking surface. Do you know what I mean? It's like a treadmill. It needs to act more like a treadmill. And then the last thing I need to figure out is how to deal with this portion of the character, like below the knees, because currently it's like if I don't know, get another character, or just like bump this into a character. I can bump it into their head, you know, and it will knock them over. But if I can't scale that, can I? If I grab this thing here. Oop. If I grab this bad boy, you can see like it isn't knocking them to the side. They just kind of jump up on it because it's like essentially they're like step up thingo. So, whoop. Because like here's the thing, right? What's the difference between a character being hit by, you know, let's say there's like a, I don't know, something like scooting along the ground, and it like hits them in the feet. I would want that to like yeet them, and I'd want them to like lose balance, and I'd want them to fall over. So like more like this, you know? I guess. So this is a bit loud now. But then like, what's the difference between that and a character yeeting itself into a fence or like a little prop here? Like, does that mean that every character, when they hit something that they could normally just step up onto, are they just gonna like faceplant and eat shit? Or like, do I maybe, I don't know. Velocity is determined if it's going slow enough to step up on or get yeeted into. That's what I was thinking. So like if you're like a speedy character, and maybe you've got like heavy armor on and whatever, and you're like running along, and there's a big step, and you don't slow down for it, maybe you do just eat shit, you know? Because that's funny. Same with like if you jump. If you jump and your feet hit a fence, you should probably just fall over and eat shit. So, yeah. I do like having this capsule there as a visualizer, so I'm actually going to keep it. I don't need the cylinder, not a capsule. Heavy armor struggles, yeah. But you see, the other thing about having heavy armor is, and again, this is one of the reasons that I want to do this, you know, with physics, is that you'll actually have a higher mass, which means that lighter characters are just going to, like, get yeeted away by you, you know? Okay, don't go right in between them, you dick. So you could, like, as a strategy, overload your backpack. Overload your backpack, wear heavy armor, eat heaps of food, get fat AF, and just like, you know, become like a human cannonball. And that would technically be a valid option. Because, yeah, if you do knock someone, if someone exceeds their walking, what do you call it? Like their maximum walkable speed, then they will, like, tilt over. Like, their feet won't be able to catch up to their center of mass. And then if their tilt exceeds, you know, whatever, 45 degrees probably, then you just, like, ragdoll. And then we go into an actual physically simulated state, which, you know, I've done a million times before. Stamina, yeah. Like, carrying more stuff or being fatter will require more stamina to, like, move, you know, at speed. Also, how's the stream quality going? It looks like it's kind of stabilized a bit. Also, if you were here earlier in the stream, I might put it back up to 2,000. If you were here earlier in the stream, try refreshing Twitch. Because it might be, like, behind a bit. Because I lost, like, 3,000 frames somewhere. Alright, it seems decent. Cool, cool, cool. It's like bare minimum internet. Jed's here? Yeah, I know. It's so weird. What a weird guy. What a funny man. Alright, we yeet. Now we skadeet. And you can go. Could you affect your likelihood of buckling over an object also? Yes. Yeah. Yeah, dexterity, agility, etc. will be factored in. As is the nature of the game, I guess. You've seen Milk Lake Dev posts on Twitter, a video they're navigating uneven terrain. I would like to see that. Do you have a link? You can chuck a link in the chat, and I can go directly to it if you would be so kind. Alright, I think I also might turn this into a video, like doing this whole little thing. Recording, yeah, that's all good. Nice. Let me have a geeze. Is physics being applied to the player and the AI? Yes. Yeah. The player and all AI characters. Am I logged in? Okay, good. Alright, trick I'm using to get some deep looking balancing is to model the upper and lower spine separately. That's exactly what I was thinking. I think the lower spine is where the balance happens, is entirely manipulated by abdomen muscles, and the upper spine we kind of use to keep a vibe of uprightness. The upper spine has slower critical damping, while the lower spine anticipates and overshoots. Yeah. I wonder though if this is okay, so they do look ahead. Yeah, okay. They do look ahead so they know if they're stepping up or stepping down something. The one thing that I do want to keep in mind is the I still want it to feel responsive. So like I still want it to be kind of like capsule based and not like, you know, like Grand Theft Auto and like Red Dead Redemption, how it's like really I don't know. It just feels like you're always fighting against the game. I just want to avoid that while also having, you know. So picking up the normals and using... Yeah, this looks like it's getting the normals and also the... Trying to think what the... Or is that just a shadow? No. Surely not. No, so the pink is the... Maybe that is a shadow. No, it wouldn't be a shadow. No, I can see it behind there. Pink is the anticipated velocity. I'm guessing the black is what? Like the facing direction? Current facing direction? Yeah. Black is facing direction. Okay, so blue's normals, black is character forward vector, and pink is the velocity. Said the arrows are not cast shadows. Oh, it's not casting shadows. This is someone else's thing, by the way. Oh, here we go. Black is predicted orientation. Yeah. Magenta is predicted velocity. Yeah. Sign is the normal of each point. Yeah, see, I should have just... Okay. Yeah, so this might be a fully physical character model, which is what we're not going to be doing. We're doing a physics... Like the character is still an animated character, right? But... Yeah. Oh, down he goes. Whoop. Is this new movement component? This will be a custom new movement component, which I'll probably just give away for free, maybe? Most little bits of the game, I'll probably just, I don't know, open source. Unless you play around with this project when you got it working, would have spent days in it. I've only actually like doodled with it like 3 times. But we're about to like do it from the ground up again. Because this was just a quick prototype that I did in like half a session. For responsive realism and the other videos player control would be less responsive. Yeah. I do like the idea in it that it has that look ahead. Because that, like, for animation's sake, that would be really good. And also, like, you could do some automatic stuff, like, oh, it's looking ahead, it sees there's something that it needs to step up on, so it might just, like, slow itself down a little bit in anticipation, and then step up onto it. You're on 5.3. I'm on 5.5. I moved to 5.5, because I wanted to test out the mutable stuff. If I'm gonna, like, turn this into a video, I might actually... Performance, trust, on GPU. I haven't actually looked yet. I think I cap myself to 60 when I'm streaming. Fixed. Yeah. Capped 60. But there are a few things that I really want to try and figure out if they thingo, you know? If they do the thing with the stuff. If they fix some bugs, basically. How are you optimizing the system? Well, the thing is that it's kind of already optimized because the majority of it runs in the chaos physics engine. It's not actually running on the game thread. And like I'll be writing it in Blueprint initially, you know, doing like the stabilization and blah blah blah. But a lot of the movement just gets done on the physics side of things, like actually moving it in world space and dealing with like its velocity and collisions and all that kind of stuff. Whereas with the inbuilt character movement stuff, it's very like kinematic and game thread bound, and does like I'll get into it when I kind of start doing this little video thing. Maybe I could just stick with this if I like open up the guy. Can these move this way? Oh, they can. I was just thinking, like, I don't know. It's like a toss-up between productivity, having an ultra-wide screen, because, like, this is my actual screen, versus having it readable for the YouTube video. But I can't be bothered actually shrinking my screen down. I think this view is fine. You just can't see the outliner. Maybe I'll switch to this view when I am showing something. And then I wish they had the thumbnail size slider, where you could like do it between this and that. I hate it. So dumb. You mentioned Mutable. How are you finding it? I explored a bit with clothing. It seems really interesting. I've like read the documentation and like read the tutorials for it and stuff, and it seems pretty like straightforward-ish. Yeah. There's like a lot of cool features in it that I think are quite nice. And I've got a few ideas of like extensions that I want to build for it. Not necessarily for it. It's like stuff I was going to do anyway. But doing like a... Because like the thing is with modular characters, right? And you might have seen my character Mega Giga material at some point, and it's like gigantic. But the reason that a lot of those kind of things get out of hand is that you don't know how many variables you're going to need or how many textures you're going to need. So you have to kind of overcompensate. And then if you've got a character that's like naked, then they're still sampling 12 textures that are just empty and not being used. Or they've got, 86 different variables for all of their vertex sections and whatnot. And it just feels wasteful. So my solution is to, instead of using parameters in the character material, there's like this global atlas, right? Global atlas. And maybe it's like a 1K or like a 2K render target. And just pretend we're really zoomed in here. And these are like pixels. And then imagine this is it's a volumetric render target as well. So we have Well, actually, no. Technically, it doesn't have to be a volumetric render target because I use four vectors for each vertex section of a character. So, like, for example, the hat might have its own vertex section. But I can actually encode 8... I can encode 4 8-bit 4 vectors into one 32-bit 4 vector. Which someone... Let me actually find it. I had, like, an example of it. Maybe it was this. Yeah, okay. So, like... So this function here, it's a custom function, uses bit shifting. This encodes a 4 vector into a float. So this blue color, 0, 0.1, 0.5, 265, 1, and 1 gets turned into a float pretty much using, like, imagine like you could just say 0. Like, okay, let's use the first 4 digits as, it's 0, 2, 3, 4, and then 0, 9, 3, 6, and then 0, 1, 5, 2, and blah, 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 blah. However many, digits you get with a 32-bit float. And really what you're saying is this is 0.234. This is, 0.976. And then this is 0.152. And this is your RGB values. But they're all in one, like, float value. So that's what this does. Then you can see that there's four vectors now in this one 4 vector. And then you can use a vertex interpolator on it while it's all combined, which saves using 3 separate vertex interpolators. If you needed these to come before you, like, do shit with them. Or in our case, we only have to do one texture sample because we could store things in this render target already encoded, And so, anyway, yeah, we can encode 4 values in the one render target, sample them, and then decode it, where it just yeets it out here. RGB, blah, blah, blah. It turns it back into vector 4s, and it's good to go. The only problem with it, or the only limitation, is that you can't have values above 1. And that's all. Oh, and there's less color accuracy, basically. Like, you end up with 8-bit color instead of 32-bit color. But for, like, what I'm using it for, that doesn't matter, because I'm only using these 8-bit colors to drive, like, 3 lerps in, like, using grayscale, like gradient maps, basically. Like, a grayscale, it's got a 0 value, a 0.5 value, and a 1 value, and each of them represent a different color. And so the idea is that when I merge the characters in mutable, for each character section that needs its own unique, like, color set, So, like, let's say, like, we wanted the... Let's say we wanted to paint the nails of the character, and the nails were, like, the 1 value on the... on the grayscale mask. But then, like, up on the face, the lips were the 1 value on the grayscale mask. We could separate them to have, like, a mouth and a hands section, which the 0.5 value would be the skin tone, which would, you know, just correspond to all be the same. But then the other value would be, like, for the 1 value and whatever. And so when the character gets merged, we manually assign its UVs to a part on this, like, global kind of parameter atlas. And so rather than being like, oh, I need to, like, set a, you know, parameter on the character material, it's just like, find the, you know, this character, and now find where their hand or their fingers, you know, texture atlas coordinate is, and now set that to the new value. And then it would, you know, correspond here. And you'd also be able to do really dumb stuff, like override this entire atlas to have, like, a panning rainbow visual, and all of the colors on all the characters would be in, like, disco mode, and it would be really funny. And that's the real reason that I was doing it. But anyway, that's a big tangent. Also, I think my internet's... Oh, DIY. What is studio mode? Internet couldn't handle that explanation. Float has error percent. It does up to a point, yeah. But I've tested the method, and it's good. Switch, I haven't used virtual shadow maps, so I can't. I don't know. I think virtual shadow maps kind of depends if you're using nanite or not, or something. Numbers scare me. I mean, that wasn't even... I didn't even have any... Oh, I kind of did. Oh, yeah, I was talking about bit shifting, wasn't I? You know what? That's understandable. That shit is lame. I'm going to get back into paint in a second. Because we're gonna like kind of... I'm gonna get Notepad up, actually. Notepad. Not Notepad++, just regular old Notepad. Crispy shadows in relation for frame. If moving a light is heavy. Yeah, and also if the thing, like if you've got foliage, like trees that are casting shadows. You know? Like animated trees. It will kind of fuck itself. Honestly, I think the regular, like, for most people's projects, I think the regular, like, methods of doing shadows is fine. Controversial take, you know? Don't fix what ain't broke. What is it? Cascade shadows. But, I don't know. Mmm. Feature? Oh, was that in 5.5 or is that in 5.6 preview? Or is Megalights just built in? Mega light these nuts. Funny. Alright, let's begin our journey. I might have a quick ad break. Yeah. BRB. BRB. Hey. Hey. All right. Let's get... what's going on with my hair? I feel like there's like this little bit here that's like curling out. I feel like I must have like accidentally shaved off an entire like section of my hair when I was shaving. Like, you know, bzzz, and then it just went like bzzz, and then I've just got this little short bit that like keeps curling. I don't know what the fuck's going on. What? What the fuck? Anyway. can relate to this. Yeah. It's fucked. Anyway. Balding? Yeah, literally. Like, actually. Have you played the game, the new game from RuneScape Dev, Brighter Shores? I haven't played it. I've watched some gameplay of it. It seems like a funky little game. With some interesting design choices, which I kind of like. There's like some things about it that I do and don't think are good ideas. But I guess it'll kind of find its niche, you know? It needs to be fleshed out more, for sure. All right. I'm just going to turn the music down a tiny bit, because it's a bit loud. This track in particular. All right, so the plan, now that I've been streaming for an hour, that's how long I can stall for. I'm going to film a little explainer on like why I'm doing this system and what it needs to do. And we're also going to talk about the limitations of the original character movement. And then we're going to get stuck into it. There's going to be a lot of MS Paint and Notepad doodling. All right. So, step one when you make a game, character movement. The most important thing is what the player is literally going to be doing 100% of the time that they're playing, you know, any given game. But why have I decided not to use the inbuilt character movement system? Because obviously it's been around forever, and it's tried, and it's tested, and it works well. I have some issues with it. So, if we look at the, what's it called? The CMC, character movement component. Let's check out. Let's compile a little list of, like, what it struggles with. Or we could do, like, a pros and a cons, you know? Pros, it is consistent. No chaos. Or little, you know, not as much chaos as a physically based one. It's, I don't know, tested. And honestly, that's about it. That's about where it ends for me. It's I don't know. It's just not really what we want. Cons. Things such as physical interaction is garbage. Need to layer systems on top of it. Knockback, slope, sliding, which end up fighting against the system. I mean, that's kind of the main thing. Doesn't handle. Oh, I guess. Need to layer movement speed multipliers based on surface/slope. Doesn't deal with balance/inertia. What's another con of the of just like capsule-based movement? Or like kinematic. Oh, the CMC capsules don't interact with one another at all. Blocking. So, like, for example, if you've got two characters that are standing next to each other, and you try and move in between them, it just literally won't let you. Unless you, like, layer on a knockback system over the top of the system, or you have some kind of, like, you know, like, soft collision component that will, like, move things out of the way. But then, how is it moving things out of the way? Does everything need a soft collision handler component to speak together? It's just stupid. I'd rather it literally just be the physics system, you know, just apply force and it just does its thing. So, physical movement, cons. We'll start with the cons first. Cons, unpredictable. This is actually good in my case because it's funny. Is it more expensive? Runs in physics, thread, etc. So, like, a lot of the logic is offloaded to chaos physics, which is, like, designed to not be expensive, you know? You see those, you see, like, the building destruction, like, demos. And in my mind, I'm just like, okay, but what if all of those building fragments were just characters instead? It's like, you know, do you know what I mean? So, what's the other con? Oh, yeah, navigation. That's a good one, Jukes. Navigation. Could be fucky, basically. All right. Now it's time for the pros, and this is like... This is... I don't know. This list is just going to need to be bigger, basically. Pros. Characters interact with one another naturally. Weight / mass is accounted for. Friction is accurate to, you know, foot or like to shoe material / slope / moving objects. Interaction or two-way interaction with physics objects, carts, crates, big animals / monsters. Think like Shadow of the Colossus. You know, we could be knocked around by something moving around, you know what I mean? That wouldn't really be something you could do with the capsule movement without, like, a layered knockback system on top of it and, like, sensors and all that kind of shit. Other pros, physics, thread, stuff, question mark, again. What's another pro? I've got like I've had like a million things in my head. Okay. We can do a balance system. If character can't self-balance, ragdoll. It means that hits / knockback can be locational. So hit to the head tilts character over. If character was already leaning in that direction / they're standing next to a fence that would trip them over, then that will happen. You know. Actually, okay, that's another good con, is replication ? Again, smooth sync might just handle it, or their, like, physics, you know, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. Another pro is, so balance, da-da-da-da-da. Looks more natural. You know? Looks better. I think that's probably good enough for now, you know? Handles things like being on a ship / big vehicle. In turbulence. You know, like turbulent ship, it will actually, like, toss you around and whatnot. That's a kind of CMC breaking or layering on top of that makes prediction framework null. Yeah, actually, that's a very good point, is that when you start doing knockback and additional sliding that's on top of the CMC, all of that network prediction just gets yeeted out the window. And then you've got to, like... Yeah, because it can't factor these in. Because it doesn't know about, you know, you manually getting and setting the location each frame on a knockback component or a sliding component. It's just a nightmare. Yeah. This is just... I think the pros outweigh the cons. I think that's the long story short. So, how are we actually going to do this? The gist of it is we have a capsule. There's a kind of meme in physics which is like, assume the squirrel is a sphere, or assume the person is a capsule. Because, like, you know, in physics you can kind of just approximate something as a basic shape, and that's literally what we're going to be doing. So we're going to have a collision capsule. We're going to put our character... it will go over... So, like, let's say this is the... So cursed. How do you draw people? It's like the arms. I just need it so the torso is like... There we go. This is a person's arms. I'm an artist, by the way. So, torso... You know, it will be the width of their torso. So it's kind of like the hard limit of the character. And then it will go down to about the knees. That's not quite the knees, but, you know. I mean, if that were the feet, then maybe. So this is... It's fucked up. So we can kind of presume that this capsule represents our character. Now, the reason that it's floating off the ground is that we're going to be kind of doing like a hovercraft sort of approach to how character... Because if you think about it, humans are essentially just hover vehicles, you know? We don't actually experience friction with the ground in a sort of weird way. Like when you lean over and you're perpetually falling and you put your foot out to, like, restabilize, You're not actually experiencing friction. You're literally just hovering over the ground. Like, you're always falling, but then you just put your foot out to catch yourself from falling. So, we don't actually want the capsule dragging along the ground. That would be a nightmare. And so what we will do is have this... This looks like a big penis now that I look at it. Is we... is we shoot a line trace. We shoot a line trace out as like a sensor. And then... if we... Let me just... What have I done? How do I erase things? How do you set the secondary color? Shift. Okay. Okay. So let's get rid of our... Let's get rid of... Let's say we've got our capsule, right? And we've got our ground. Our ground is down here. We're going to do a line trace. That line trace is going to have a maximum length of just past the foot. And then it's kind of going to self-stabilize. So if the capsule is lower down... Well, no, sorry. This line trace is going to be acting like a spring. So if the line trace is like near the very end of its maximum length, it's going to exert like X, you know, maybe it's going to exert 10 force upwards. Or it'll actually just exert enough to counteract gravity given the capsule's mass. And that's presuming that the character is strong enough to actually like hold themselves up if they're not carrying like 1,000,000 kilograms. So at this thing, it will exert 10 force, but as the line trace hits, you know, further up its maximum length, it will exert more force upwards. So maybe at this point, it'll do like 50. And so this will essentially self-balance, or sorry, self-suspend, like suspension. It's literally like car suspension, you know? The spring will find a nice point, and if you take stuff out from underneath it, it will stretch out and then catch up. And if you push up on it, it will spring like this. That's kind of how the legs of our character are going to work. Now, this shouldn't just be going straight up. It should probably be tangential. Or, sorry, it should... The force should probably be the normal of the slope that it's on. So, if we have a slope, and our line trace is going down to, like, you know, from our... towards where our feet are. The line trace will actually, if the capsule is tilted, the line trace will actually go out. I haven't decided yet. Maybe this way. Maybe it goes straight down. I'm really not sure. We'll find out. If you were on a slope and you got hit in the... Like, if you were facing up a slope and you got hit in the back of the head, or, like, pushed from the top, I guess you would maybe slip forward easier than the other way. But the other way, you would topple and die. I don't know. Anyway, so if we're on a slope... we're actually going to emit a counter force along the surface as normal, which you'd think would make us slide down the slope, which is exactly what would happen. However, our character is going to have friction. So this will be based on, you know, the, is the character wearing shoes? Are they wearing climbing boots? Is the surface slippery? Whatever. We can calculate some static friction value, and then that will counteract this force like that. Or something. Do you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? But the friction will only be... No, it has to be three-dimensional. Yeah. So therefore, the character can stand still on a slope like this. But then if the slope is even, like, steeper, then this, you know, the force that they are counter... The force that is countering, like, their spring force from their feet will be more in the XY direction. You know, less vertical. And they would need to, you know, emit more friction to compensate for that XY friction. But they only have, like, a maximum value of friction that they can exert. And so then they would start sliding. And once they start sliding... I don't really know how to model this, but there's, like, static friction and dynamic friction. I don't know what the fucking term for the other one is. But essentially, once something starts sliding along something, the rules of friction change completely. And I think at that point, we can kind of just be like, okay, this character is in a state of, you know, dynamic friction, and maybe there's just a lerp from, you know, using static friction, lerp towards using dynamic friction. And then once the character stops moving and, like, stabilizes, then they use static friction again. Kinetic friction, yes. Yep. So this is kind of all of the BS that we need to deal with. Another thing that needs to be dealt with is... Oh, that's not the... You know what? How many steps of undo does paint have? Okay, not enough. The other thing we need to deal with is... We have a... Let's say we're, like, sitting in the back of... Let's say there is a giant snail. Right? And the snail was grown in, like, a confined space. And so its shell gets, like, truncated at the top. And then the snail, and it's like, ooh, I'm a snail. And it's really fast, by the way. It's got his little balls on its head. Okay, and let's say there's, like, a little platform that they use to, like, transport goods on these snails because they can, like, go over. It's, you know, it's like, it's law. It's law. Anyway, if we have a character who is sitting on top of the snail, presuming they are a capsule, and we're just doing a line trace down to this dude, if this suddenly starts moving, like, bam, like it just starts zhuzhing off in this direction, the character... Well, this will essentially be sliding out from under the character, going this way. But the character has a friction value, and so that friction value needs to take into account the velocity of what's underneath it. So, in this case, we can do a line trace if the if the thing that it hits is physically simulated, then we can get the linear velocity, or whatever the function is, linear velocity at point, which is always accurate even like with rotations. So we've got like a rotating, you know, square platform. It will be like, oh yeah, the velocity at this point is that way, but the velocity at this point is that way. And that's a tick. Bam. So in this case, this would start moving out from underneath us, but we would have friction, which would... So relative to us, it's moving that way. Yeah, our friction would pull us along with it, up to a certain extent. But the way that we want to apply it to our character is actually applying it at this position, like at the fulcrum point, and then the character can like self-stabilize. And so that way, when the character's on a moving platform, it's like when you are on a tram or a train or any, like, you know, vehicle, any public transport, and you're not holding on to like something to stabilize yourself, and it just suddenly like jerks and like everyone gets, you know, moved backwards because their feet are getting pulled out from underneath them and then they stabilize. So that will be modeled just within the friction system. So that should be pretty easy-ish. You can insert self other velocity in the friction function, but not sure or where that would be located where you'd insert it. Yeah. So this, and then obviously, another thing that I just thought of is, physical pros. Buoyancy is way easier to do. Doesn't have to be tacked on top. Buoyancy, good. Buoyancy, good. And then also, like, two-way interaction with buoyant props. Again, you know. Cool. I'm just gonna do funny snail. Funny snail ore. Oh, maybe the... Okay. Time for an epic pun royale. Maybe the snail drivers are called snailers. Like sailor, but like snailer. You know, that's funny. That's funny. This is using the new movement system, or is this something you went about creating? This is all from scratch, because I don't really like how Mover... Because the Mover has, like, the new physical movement thingo. Which I haven't, like, played around with very much. But it still suffers from, like, the old... It's, like, built around the old movement logic. Because essentially what the Mover, the physical movement in the Mover plugin does is it just takes the output of the regular movement stuff using, like, you know, the acceleration and the thing and the whatever, and then it just uses that as a target for a physical capsule to, like, it just exerts velocity on, or exerts force on the capsule to make it kind of do what the regular character movement would be doing. So again, it still doesn't deal with sliding down slopes, you know, gripping onto things, being knocked. I mean, it would technically deal with being knocked around and, like, moving past things. But again, you'd have to, like, tack systems on top of it for it to work and whatnot. Oh, another thing with physical interaction is tethering characters. That was like one of the big things. So like characters holding hands, or characters driving a slave train. What do you call it when you like tie a bunch of people together? You know, all bound together. You could stake a horse. You could... Oh, that sounds a bit... You could stake a rope and tie it to a honce. A honcer. Chain gang. Yeah. You could tie a character to a lead ball, and they would actually be slowed down by it. Slowed down by it. Depending on their strength and stuff. Strength / friction and stuff. And so all of this would actually work rather than, again, needing... Like, this would just work using, like, physics constraints. Like, you could literally just tie two characters together. Or, like... So, like, with tethering characters, you could just use the physics constraints to bind characters together, or bind characters to physics objects. And, you know, the characters could fight against it. There would be two-way interaction. So, like, if you had a chain gang of, like, you know, slaves or, like, prisoners, if one of them tried moving, it would pull the rest of them with it. Or if you were driving a cart or something, or, like, riding an animal, and you, like, barged through the middle of them, it would actually... You'd probably trip your animal over because there's so much weight, but it would, like, actually, like, give way in a natural way. Dragging bodies. So, dragging bodies / fallen allies, etc. They would... Like, a body or, like, a character that's fallen down would be ragdolling. So they would be, like, per body physically simulated, but you could still constrain that, you know, physics body, like the hand of the other, or the hands of the other character. You could do a physics constraint to our physically simulated capsule, and there would be two-way interaction. So if there was, like, for example, extreme case of just, like, chaos and funniness, you're, like, dragging a fallen ally, and then there's, like, this ledge. Like, maybe you're on, like, a building top or something, and then you're dragging them, but then the other character kind of, like, starts sliding down this ledge. You would get dragged along with them, and you would fall off the ledge with them if you didn't let go. Or you could, like, fight back. Or, like, an ally could grab onto you, and you could have two people... Do you know what I mean? Like, I think just having it, all the character representation native to the physics engine, just ironically simplifies, like, a million different functions that obviously aren't needed in every game project. You know, in our game project, it's a simulation, and everything's supposed to be responsive and, like, representative of an actual thing in the world. Whereas, you know, if you're doing a Call of Duty or a Overwatch or a whatever, it's all about the player and them being in control and responsiveness. Whereas in our case, the game doesn't necessarily revolve around the player. The player is a part of the simulation, and that's sort of the point of view of the player, is that they're essentially like an observer that can still impact the simulation, but the simulation doesn't care that the player exists. And so I think by doing a physically simulated character movement, that allows for a lot of bullshit, as I like to call it. So, yeah. So, what does this all look like? There's going to be an ad. I'll wait for the ad to finish. You make me think of that parkour game where people are chained together. What was that called again? I think it was called Chained Together. I think it was actually just called Chained Together. Human centipede of sorts? I mean, technically, yeah, you could. Yeah. Yeah. Why did two different people come to that conclusion? Human centipede, the game. Do snailers leave a slippery trail behind them? Now that's a good idea. I feel like the snailers would they'd have a dedicated person in like the snailer crew that goes behind them and just like kind of like a kind of like in curling. You know, like ice curling? That funky sport where like you're on ice skates and you throw the curl or the weight thing, and then someone has like the little scrubbing broom in front of it. I imagine it would be like that, but someone's like running behind this giant snail, just like scrubbing out all the sticky as they go, at least while they're like in the city. That would be funny as hell. Come on, would limbs use physics control component, physical animation, or control rig, IK, or a combination? I think for the sake of simplicity, I'd just do IK. So it would be a constraint from the capsule to... a constraint from the capsule to whatever they're trying to grab. And it would have like a maximum distance, which would be the arm reach. Plus like some leaning. And it would just be IK driven. So that it's like as simple as possible. That kind of thing. Is that ad done? On a crappy laptop right now and decide I need to use Blender's material editor for something. Blender said no, it crashes when I try to use it. We actually run into that with a laptop as well. If you switch to like material mode on Blender, it just nopes out. It just doesn't. It just hangs. Done for you? Okay, cool. Money, we have a second time Prismatica question suggestion regarding additive channel for render target stuff like thick snow that doesn't work with the XY vectors. Doesn't work with the XY vectors. Yeah, you know, I can have a geese in the thing. Okay, deformation is represented in a 2D vector in the render targets. So there's a go for grass and foliage. You know, represent deformation without direction means there are cracks in information. Single channel not using alpha values. There is a... It's called the surface render target. It's actually already in the plugin. And it deals with, like, a divot in the middle and then a hump either side. Try using that for snow and sand and stuff. Service has the same problem? Okay. Yeah, the two vector and the render targets. Represent deformation without. Oh, being unable to represent deformation without direction means there are cracks in the information that make it unusable for certain cases. Okay, I gotcha. Oh, without the halos. Yeah. You could... The center can't go below the outside. Yeah. I will be looking into, like, making the surface stuff a bit more gooder. Because I haven't really gotten to that point. Usually, like, with the Prismatiscape plugin, I kind of, like, evolve it as I start doing more stuff. Like the next Prismatiscape update has, like, rivers and, like, water. Like, it deals with... with, like, flowing water. So, like, you know, if you're just standing in water, it will, like, do foam out from you, and that will travel down, you know, water surfaces and all that kind of stuff, like this. So that's kind of where my focus is with the next update, but yeah. Don't really use by putting a single channel all the way through the Niagara so much of the deform, but no direction, just add it. Yeah, gotcha. That might be good enough for now. But yeah, I will revisit and do like a proper surface thinger. Why does this keep going up? Current drainage the fixed pools and virtual. Yeah, but I did that. Virtual texture pools? Pool? Virtual pool. Pool? Transient pools. No, but I... Eh? Virtual texture pool. Oh my god. Fucking... Why is it there? Virtual texture these nuts. Fixed pools. Oh, there's a different... Right. Let me copy you into fixed pools. Apparently. Oh, that's what it said to do. Oh, no, wait, no. Fuck you. Just copy that into there. Paste. That will override 2 elements. Yeah. Okay, cool. Good on you. Can't disable dynamic pool for editor. Why does it keep popping up then? Because I don't know. It's so annoying. Why is your bitrate set to about 1500? Because my internet sucks really bad. Like, really bad. I can try put it up to 2K. It's at 1750K. Or, like, kilobit. But my internet is, like, so bad at the moment. Usually I get 3 megabit per second. But lately I've been getting 2 megabit per second. But I decide... What the fuck? But I decided I need to stream regardless. Why did that take that? That's funny. Because if I just uncheck, it'll make bigger pool size. Oh, true. Yeah, why don't I think of just making it bigger? What's the flag called, Sandbox? Also, hello, Sandbox. How are you doing? Sorry, I saw your message before, but I was on like a tangent. Virtual texture pool. Pool auto grow in editor. Physical pool is growing on oversubscription. Each physical pool will grow to maximum size so far requested. This setting applies to the editor only. It has to know cookies, blah, 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 blah. So if I turn that off, there should be an option in OBS or whatever serving software you're using to adjust the bitrate to your network. Yeah. It's it's supposed to be at 2K, like flat, like 2000 megabit per second. How big? Oh, they're not size in. Yeah, that, you know, that should be fine. I'll just let it get a warning if it overflows, I guess. Yeah, but yeah, my internet is just exceptionally bad. So even if I set it to like a million megabit, it would just die. So I have to set it lower quality so that it'll be stable and it doesn't buffer at Twitch land. Oh yeah, I wonder if they fixed the see this banding. This is because of the YCOCG virtual texture compression not working in Niagara, but I wonder if they fixed it. Because I tried to manually decode it in Niagara, but because it's virtual texture sampling in Niagara is just like straight up fucked, because it's like it gets stored as a linear color, but then the sampler in Niagara samples it as sRGB, so it's impossible to get. And because it's YCOCG encoded, the encoding gets fucked up because you can't get it before the sRGB kind of. I don't know. It's stupid. So maybe they have fixed that. So my only solution was to use low quality color for the water velocity virtual texture, but YOLO. Anyway, that's a tangent. I'll be fixing all that shit in the next in the thing with the stuff. The thing with the stuff with the thing. Where's plugins? Prismatica. PPCMS. So you not to use RVT and I'll just use traditional workflows? I mean, yeah, but like RVTs can be pretty handy. Like to blend all of this velocity together for the flow map. I don't see any way to do it without RVT. Plus, RVT is super cheap. A lot of people think... I've got a video coming out, by the way, about RVTs. A lot of people think that, like, RVTs are really expensive, but that's because they're, like, updating them every frame. And it's like, well, yeah, duh. Like, at that point, you're using a scene capture. But you're not supposed to draw things that are moving to the RVT. And you're not supposed to update the RVT, like, you know, often. But yeah, it is expensive on memory, but it isn't expensive on performance. Unless you're using them incorrectly. Like, if I look at... Because, like, I use, I think, 6 separate RVTs in my project. And if you go stat GPU, the virtual texture, like, you know, entry is 0.01 milliseconds. And then obviously if you start drawing to it over and over and like updating it constantly and whatever, then it spikes up to like, you know, 0.5 milliseconds. But that's an incorrect usage of RVTs. RVTs are supposed to be like, you know, I've moved to a new part of the map. I need it to do a one-off, like, scene capture. And then draw that to, like, yeah, a big texture, which is memory. But then it's just like, okay, yeah, shaders can read from it now. Particles can read from it now. Like, it's all good. It's all gravy. You can access, like, a height map, like height data in the GPU. Because that's what my plugin, like, hinges around, is the fact that we don't need to do a scene capture of, you know, the depth of the world, because we can just use a height RVT and then measure, you know, Pris.debug shapes 1. We can just measure the, you know, the capsule position next to, or like comparatively to the RVT height. So like no scene captures, no anything. It's just like we know exactly where we want to be. Memory traffic is the main cause of performance loss in games nowadays, especially UE5 games. Don't just ignore it. Otherwise, you know, like Stalker 2. True. Sounds like someone's been watching too much Threat Interactive. But, it's, yeah, I don't know. I think it is a case-by-case thing. I think also when, I think with the new features, like virtual shadow maps, Lumen, Nanite, where it's constantly doing caching and invalidation and recaching and like doing all this stuff that can be really unpredictable, then you can run into issues. I feel like using just all the traditional rendering stuff is just like a lot more stable, because like it's like, okay, yeah, rendering this cube here, it's like consistent. Like this is never getting invalidated and cached and whatever. It just has a smaller but per frame cost, you know. So it's just like more consistent. I don't know. Very interactive. I have no idea what they're talking about, and it's funny. Don't watch their videos. I don't know why they're done laughing at them. I don't know. I feel like they're a little bit disingenuous. I don't know. I think they have a motive to kind of, because they're trying to I think they have like a Patreon, or like they're asking for funding to essentially make their own branch of Unreal Engine with like some optimizations and whatnot. But it's like everyone just kind of like everyone does that for their own games anyway. Like I don't know. Direct donations, right. So it's not even like a Patreon or whatever. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like when you've got that, you know, it's like, and again, I'm not saying there's not anything wrong with Unreal Engine. Like, it obviously has a ton of issues and whatnot, and the direction of its development is, I don't know, interesting is a way that I'll put it. It's like if you're asking for money to, like, fix something, then obviously you have an incentive to, like, grill it super hard and, like, kind of cherry pick information and whatnot. Alright, I have issues. Also, open source, you make your own branch anyway, like you said. Yeah, exactly. Hmm. I think Unreal prioritizing its ease of use is, like, the main thing that's keeping it alive, you know? Like, the fact that, yeah, like, okay, yeah, with Nanite, you can just, like, plop shit in, and it'll just kind of handle it for you. And Lumen's just, like, you plop things in, and it'll just handle it for you. And, like, you can have... If you're a complete beginner, and you've got, like, some Megascans assets and whatever, you can just, like, make a super good-looking scene, and you can do, like, virtual production and all that shit without any, like... you know, like, crazy, you know, 10 years in the industry, whatever. Source Engine's pretty damn neat. You don't need new rendering tech. The barrier to entry is nasty, though. Yeah. I think that's the thing that Unreal, like, nails, is that it's so easy to get into. Like, that's the thing that got me started in game development full stop is Unreal Engine. Because, like, I was watching a devlog, and it showed, like, how Blueprint works. And I was like, bro, that's just like the Age of Mythology scenario editor. Like, even I could do that. And so then, yeah. So I think Unreal does really well in that regard. But then it's like, when you start getting deeper and more, like, entrenched into Unreal Engine... then you start to, I guess, like, have issues with it. Or, like, have issues with the direction and the marketing and the, you know, the features that they're focusing on instead of fixing things that, like, you know, most developers actually need. Seems really good in more life things, you know, they're not... it's not they did bad because they're idiots. Oh, you mean the Stalker team? Yeah, I imagine, like, that would put a ton of, like, strain on development. Like, just like, having time to just polish things and whatnot and optimize. Performance Stalker is the AI. AI, interesting. Oh, maybe the Threat Interactive video I was thinking about was, no, it was Silent Hill 2. But yeah, I don't know, I haven't watched any of the videos since, like, I don't know. I tend to just not watch, like, rage bait videos. Like, you just know, like, you can just tell by the thumbnail and the wording of it. I don't know, I try not to, like, play into that game. I think it's just... I think if everyone just, like, clicks on videos about, like, you know, this thing's terrible, or, like, you know, this game sucks, or, like, games should be like this, then YouTube just kind of turns into TikTok. You know. All right, so I yapped for another hour, but that was a recorded yapping. That was for content. Now we need to actually start coding. it's time to code. I was trying to separate that from the legit issues. Yeah. Yeah, I think there are issues with Unreal Engine and like, you know, the priority of things. But it's like, I don't know. There's definitely a constructive way and a kind of disingenuous way to approach it, you know? Like, I think, first of all, recognizing the health of the engine community. You know, there are people coming in and staying with the engine is obviously, like, a net positive. And doing, like, fancy features like Lumen and Nanite and, like, the Mega Lights and the whatever is, like, a part of that. Even if not everyone's, like, using it, it brings a ton of people to the engine, which then provides feedback, which then, you know, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, I hate Nanite, so... Alright, so. So, before we actually start coding this extravagant character thingamajig, I actually did a mock-up a little while ago. And you can see we have our characters. They're represented by a capsule. We've also just got a cylinder for clarity. And we have this rotating platform. The characters kind of get dragged along it. Obviously, the feet aren't animated properly and whatever. But the character in the middle is not being moved. Obviously, they should be rotating, which I, you know, will account in the actual version. You can see over here the suspension in effect. So the capsule is trying to maintain its position, you know, and it kind of has like springiness. And then obviously we play an additive animation in the character that makes it look like they're kind of crouching to compensate. And then over here we just have like some side to side movement. Now with this very early whatchamacallit, prototype, it actually runs ridiculously well, which I wasn't expecting. But again, it kind of makes sense when you think about it, because like, obviously the physics engine is designed to handle, you know, hundreds of physically simulated objects. So if I grab, this is 10 to 50, so that's what, 40, 80 characters. We'll go 120 just to have a bit of fun. And then I'm going to disable visibility on that thing. Hidden in-game, yes. And the capsule, hidden in-game, yes. And then I'll just chuck a cube down so I can just push them around and have a bit of fun. Alright, so we have like 120 characters. And this cube, I can just chuck on top of them. It hits them, they react to it. They can actually hold up the cube as well, so there's like two-way interaction with characters and stuff. The characters bump into one another. You know, there's like nice propagation and whatever. If we were a character moving, we could push other characters out of the way. And they would push back on us. So if there was a dense crowd, we wouldn't be able to like push through it all in one go. Obviously, I'm kind of like kinematically forcing this character around, but you get the point. If I just like threw him into them, you can see he gets stopped. I'll just chuck that cube up. There is a little bit of stuttering occasionally, but I'm pretty sure it's just because of the highlight outline and just like UI stuff being funky. I don't really find stuttering. I mean, like, the stuttering happens whether I've got a million of these guys or not. So yeah, you can see that these guys can actually slow the cube down. Like, naturally. If it barrels into them. And, you know, that's because they're all bunched up together. They're kind of acting as one large mass of characters. However, if I just throw this into one character, then that character will kind of get yeeted. Okay, I fucking missed. Can you come back? Oh, shit. Where the... Oh, my God. No. Fuck this shit. Go again. I need to single a character out. You... No. You will... No. You will do. Okay. Fewer characters. Yeet the cube into them. It doesn't get slowed down because the characters weren't heavy enough to... Oh, stop them. And then lastly, yeah, you can see that, yeah, this is like running. I'm not getting any like big hitches. It's just like... I don't know. I don't want to jinx it, but maybe this would end up being cheaper than the inbuilt character movement because it's like integrated into the physics engine, which like acts on its own thread and has its own, you know, like bulk processing. Whereas like the character movement stuff has to be done one by one. So I don't know, honestly. I've really got no idea. I guess we'll find out. But from initial testing, it would seem like performance-wise, it isn't going to be terrible. Like, I thought that having this many characters or, you know, bodies physically simulating would cause, like, you know, 10 FPS or something. But the fact that I can have this many characters simulated and for it to not be complete garbage, you know, and keep in mind now I have, like, what, 261 characters. Now it's starting to chug a bit. A bit, you know, a tiny little bit. But I'm not even sure if that's because of the physics or if it's because of like the fact that I've written this prototype in Blueprint, or if it is... Okay, it is Blueprint time. Is there like a stat physics? What can I stat now? Okay, here we go. Sync bodies. Query physical material mask hit. It's, yeah, it's not like... Does that go up if I start... Okay, yeah, if I start yeeting them around, we go up to like 2 milliseconds. If they're all interacting with each other and colliding and whatever, and they're all unasleeped. Remember sleeping, waking... Yeah, exactly. And yeah, when they're all bunched together, they obviously have to query each other and stuff. But yeah, okay, so most of the juice is being sucked out of the Blueprint, like, tick time, because all of these are obviously running on tick. We're doing line traces in Blueprint. We're doing, like, a lot of logic in Blueprint, which will get moved to C++ once it's, like, all finalized. And then it should be pretty good. Yeah. Yeah. So I think with that little... So I think with that little test out of the way, and, you know, the kind of performance analysis, we actually move on to doing this properly. Fuck, this just looks too... I don't know. So it's like rigid bodies with springs in their legs with high damping and velocity. That rigid body plays the animation according to the anim graph. When they create a problem when doing stairs, how does it work? So what I was thinking for like stairs and ledges and stuff is to do a look ahead. Where like we get the current velocity and acceleration and we can... Like that... that Twitter post that... Oh, not Twitter. What's it called? X. This post. So, like, we just, you know, we can predict ahead, figure out the normals, the slope, and all that stuff, and, like, adjust the animation and maybe some of the movement logic. Especially like for AI characters, you know, they'll need to slow down before they go up a ledge. Like, decelerate before they step up a ledge and whatnot. But, yeah. The other thing with stairs is that we will be doing... We'll probably do 4 separate line traces. Because, let's say we've got like a pyramid, right? Aliens built the pyramids. And this is something that the inbuilt character collision kind of struggles with as well a bit. If we do a capsule trace and we hit here, then... If we do it from, like, the center point of the capsule, it will be like, okay, yeah, this is the normal, which is good. If we do a line trace down, then if we're sitting right here, it's like, okay, yeah, like, bam, you're this way. And then if we move, like, a millimeter to this side, it's like, bam, the normal is pointing this way. Which isn't good, because in real life, you could... Like, you kind of take the average of both feet. Sort of. So where capsules get kind of fucky is with inverted, you know, pyramids. So, like, if we have, like, you know, a slope that's like this, and we do a capsule trace, it can only hit one of these. And so it will return, you know, from the hit point to the center of the capsule head. It will either be this way, or if they move a centimeter this way, it'll be going this way. Which just gets real fucky. So my solution, and I've done this before, is to just do like a... Like from bird's eye view. Here's the capsule. We do line trace here, 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 and here. And we can then take the average normal between all of them. So if we had a line trace hit here and a line trace hit here, then the average of this normal and this normal is just straight up. Which means that, yeah, the character can sit here. And it essentially, like, rounds off slopes according to, like, the character movement. You know what I mean? And then the same thing down, like, here. It'll be like, oh, you're sitting here, but, like, the average of the normals, you know. Makes it a lot more predictable. And line, I'm pretty sure I'd done like a bulk test. I'm pretty sure it was that line traces are like a quarter as expensive as a capsule trace. So it kind of works out in the end. Simply able to create a hovering rigid body from the ground, so the problem with both will be solved. Well, that's what this is. That's what this system is. They are like hovering rigid bodies. So, but it's about knowing where where is the stairs. If we go here, then you can see that this is the character, this cylinder. And this part of the character, like the actual mesh, has no collision or physics or anything. So I'm going to put these back on. Hidden in-game. Off. Compile, do your thing. So if we simulate, you can see that, yeah, the capsule is the simulated thing, and it, like, boing, springs back up. I can actually get the... where's, like, the component? Oh, God. This one? Base class? Is this the old... Yeah. Is it? Yes. Draw for one frame. To find the stairs using a yeah, you could do the stairs... Well, I kind of don't like that approach, like doing a slope for the stairs, because then it acts like a ramp in terms of friction. Whereas the point of having stairs in real life... Oh, no, don't standalone game. The point of having stairs in real life is that you negate friction. So you can have a really steep slope because each step is flat. You don't have to worry about friction. So yeah, here's like the line trace in action. And it will try and maintain that point. So the cylinder collision is a like rounded top cylinder. Like the character capsule, the same primitive as that. But then for visualizing it, because like the lines are really thin, it's hard to see on stream, I just put a non-colliding cylinder over the top of it to like actually visualize it properly. Doink. Doink. Oh. What happens if the character needs to be at an angle? I guess that's what you're working on with next with the falling over part. Four line traces along ground at an angle can be used to solve stair problem. Yeah. Well, this would actually solve stairs, kind of. Maybe, I don't know. So what is our movement update cycle? So, how do humans exist in the world? That's the question. What do we do in what order? We need to figure out where floor is. We'll call this the query stage. Never seen one? Yeah, me neither. So we'll have a query stage. We then do the apply all the shit. That's the physics stage. Or apply all the Well, actually, no. We'd need to do the... Well, yeah, okay. Decide what we want to do. This is the movement stage. So query, move, physics. So the query gives us all the info. Movement decides what is our character trying to do. Are they applying friction, blah, blah, friction, blah, blah, blah. Well, no, I guess it's almost all the same. Do we want to do this before this? Yeah. So what are our physicses? Problem seems similar to rigid body controller of Unity. Potentially. The Unreal Engine has like a character controller, but it's kinematic. Whereas I want it to have like two-way, I want it to be a physics object, basically. For like all of these reasons. Also, boom. Sorry, I was gonna say hello. You posted Chungus in the chat like half an hour ago. I apologize. I hope you're doing well. Apply all the shit. So we need gravity, obviously. Well, gravity just gets done. Gravity gets done by default. We don't actually have to do gravity. That's just handled by the physics engine. Or like, you know, it's a part of the primitive. We need to... What do we call it? Like the normal force? So that's like our legs. Legs resisting gravity. We have... friction. Force. This is feet resisting. Feet resisting, what, like sliding on slope due to gravity. Yeah, we do... You know what? Let me just fucking look up. Let me look up physics of humans standing up. As you stand up, your legs have to produce a force greater than your force of gravity. Correct. The force of gravity on you is your weight times gravity. By applying a force to the ground greater than the force of gravity, you propel yourself upwards until the legs are fully extended. Yes. Physics of the human body, motion and balance. Very, very good. Let's,
Lecture provides an introduction
This is a lecture.
The lesson focuses on the overlap between biology. Do a girl push-up where you rest on your knees instead of your toes.
Yep, fulcrum point. Yep.
Finally, stand up straight, lift 1 foot off the ground, and try to bend over. Why does staying? Fluids and pressure. Let's look at the body from an engineering perspective.
Alright, here we go.
If we were trying to define the function of parts of the human body using...
How are humans made? You'll find out when we program that. You know?
In engineering terms, what do you think the bones and muscles are like? Lungs are sending and receiving signals compared to
Alright, show me diagrams.
like structures, machines, and computers.
Okay, this is like an actual lecture. I just want something quick. I want A diagram. I want a diagram. All right, we could... Go back. Okay, here we go. Standing. Center of mass. Pivot is the foot. We fall over. We catch up with our feet. With our foots. I had thought about doing... like, separate... like separate feet, but then it would be like animation dependent, which I don't really like. I think keeping it simple where the character just floats and the feet follow along is like better. Oh, fuck, that's an interesting way of looking at it though. Because, yeah, like, and then when that becomes the pivot, you are moving in an... But you could simplify this to just a straight line. Yeah, no, I still think doing hover... Oh, sorry, yeah, I forgot that I'm in fucking YouTube mode. Like this. If it was, like, animation dependent, where, like, yeah, you'd, like, do 2 traces from each foot, it could be interesting, but... Nah. Not worth. Yeah, okay, so... Basically, the way that the character will move is like a segue, right? Because, like, here you can see that, yeah, the character leans forward, and they're emitting a force in their, like, up vector, and that kind of slides them along. Or, you know, like, in this case, the force is pushing this way, which is propelling them, but then obviously they catch themselves from falling down with their other foot, and their momentum just carries them over. So, does that mean that our movement is going to be driven by the rotation of the capsule? Because then how does the... All forces involved in walking. Unvolved? Involved in walking. That's actually a good point, Core. That is a good point. Net reaction force. Net force by U. Force on road by U. Force of the road on U. Shouldn't that be the other way around? Doesn't the... Hmm. Overhead does turn his movement physics ahead. It's like a segue. Yeah, I do remember that. I do remember watching that a long time ago. So the other thing that I was debating was whether to use 2 capsules for the character, one for the lower half, one for the upper half, so that it can hinge at the pelvis. Because, like, obviously you use your pelvis to stabilize, but that might just be something I do in the animation side of things, and just do like a. Just give, like, a character a stabilization thinger. Like, overall stabilization. Hmm. All right, we will do this from scratch, but I'm keeping all this. That's just setting references. Don't set character capsule visibility. You die. Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. Could you lock the axis of the top capsule, maybe? I don't want to lock any axes because, again, this is something that I think you run into with the character movement component physics thinger, where, like, if you have 2 forces, let's say you've got an elephant charging at you, about to hit you in, like, the pelvis, and a giant block of concrete coming this way. If you've locked the axis, then they both just get stopped dead in their tracks, because there's, like, an infinite force. So I want to use, like, a limited force stabilization for that kind of thing. Like, to maintain the orientation of the capsule. Whether or not that's done with an angular force or a linear force from the feet. Oh no, I guess you do. Like, if this was like this, right? Like, let's say we froze physics and we were standing like this. How would we, and we're on the ground, how would we immediately rectify this situation? Well, we would make our feet catch up, you know? We'd make our feet... We'd be emitting force in this direction, and we would use our other foot to catch up and stabilize ourselves. So are we trying to... Do we not use any kind of angular stabilization in this, like, in these axes, and just use linear force from the feet to stabilize the character? But usually you could, if you had a separate pelvis, you could, like, move your pelvis out quicker and move your head back this way. No, that's not really needed. I think the only thing we actually need angular force for is for the the Z rotation of the character. Like yeah, if a character wants to turn around, it's an angular force, which is created by, like, having both, like, by having two pivoting points, like having two contact points, and then you try and make your feet go, one forward and one back, but then friction goes the other way and your whole body rotates. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, maybe we could have like a soft, like a really subtle rotation, but yeah. I think the gist of it is that humans balance by, well, okay, there's like two things. On a larger scale, humans balance by catching themselves with their feet. When we're standing, we're using, like friction and, well, I guess angular from our foot. I don't fucking know. Anyway, more going to contribute. Yeah, I probably need the same. I might do a coffee next ad break, so that's in like half an hour. Yeah. So, like, at this point, let's just wait till this is slopey. So, yeah, at this point, the character should be emitting a force this way. And if there was no friction, they would start sliding down. But then they friction this way, or like static friction that way. But then as soon as that static friction is overcome, then there's kinetic friction, kind of, is the new rule. Until, what, their velocity is lower? That's not how Cascadeur does it. So Cascadeur does it with like full, like, individual physics bodies, whereas we're just trying to do a generalized, like, presume human is a capsule. What are the forces? You know what? Hold on. What are the human forces presuming human is capsule? No, not like lens capsule. Okay. Human forces. No, human physics. Human locomotion physics if capsule. Simple models of human locomotion. Oh, it's on fucking ResearchGate. I don't know. I think I understand it enough to like kind of. I mean, okay, it's kind of like a Segway, like you know the little scooty thingers. That's kind of how balancing works. If you generalize it, you know, like a wheel. A wheel's not a bad way to represent human locomotion. Because a wheel catches itself, but then can also be, like, scooted out from, like, physics. Fuck, this is making me think, like, maybe I should use a capsule and then a spring and then a wheel, like a sphere, a spherical thing to represent the character, like a literal Segway. Obviously, that's more complex because it's two things. What issues would that run into? You'd obviously run into issues with... You'd need the radius of the sphere to be big so that it can go over small bumps. Like... But that would kind of handle... fuck. It's an interesting idea. The BB-8 issue. Yeah, well, that's what I'm thinking. Maybe all our characters are BB-8s. Driving uphill wouldn't be that hard because... I don't know. Well, yeah, we can force it uphill, but we wouldn't want to. Because we can kind of represent humans using, like, feet as the sphere. And then you can also, like, going uphill and there being, like, scooting and, like, gripping and all that kind of stuff. The only problem is that it's, like, it's a very hard... And then, obviously, stairs is kind of annoying. Do you reckon that's worth testing out? Should we actually test out like a BB-8 slash Segway, like, physical movement? With, like, suspension? I just wish you could fucking do, I don't know. See, Zero, am I on ignore? No, you're not. Sorry, did you send a message before? Sorry, I've just been, like, in the zone. Something to do with Picos. Oh, is that about the how a human's made? If you drive the rotation of the sphere, like God, then no problem. If you simulate the thing driving it, then reaction force stops you going uphill. Well, I want it to have a maximum force. Can you get 2 points on the opposite side of the sphere to act as targets for the feet? Message and pop on screen about my wheels coming. I'm not sure. I didn't see it. Maybe it got like auto modded by like the YouTube. YouTube chat is just weird. It just kind of... YouTube in general is weird. Like, comments on videos sometimes just get hidden because they're obviously using AI to... might have blocked what I posted as a URL. Yeah. Yeah, YouTube really doesn't like... Okay, yeah. Did wheels for 2D characters a couple of mobile games. Did a sphere wheel for a little racing prototype. Wheels for 2D characters a couple of yeah, okay. How did that work? Like, and was that just wheels to represent the movement? Solve, how's it going? How's character movement going? It's good, it's good. I filmed a little like intro to what we're trying to do. And now I'm going to do it properly. This was like the prototype, and I did like some performance tests with like 200 characters, and it was good. But, I'm just thinking... I just had the idea. Because obviously we'd need to model, you know, like feet, force, and all that kind of stuff. Just using like pure math. But then I was thinking, what if we did it like BB-8 from the Star Wars movies, where like we do like a sphere down here that doesn't collide with this, and they're joined together with a spring, which would be the leg spring. And we use it to locomote the character. And to stabilize the character. Because then as it goes uphill, it would naturally slow down because it has like a maximum torque. And if there's bumps and stuff, it would react normally. Stairs would be kind of funny, but I don't know. It would be better if we could somehow have, like, let's say this is the capsule, and then our sphere was, like, way bigger. So it could rotate with, like, a larger... You know, like, little bumps wouldn't mean as much to it. But then it only actually collided with, like, you know, this part. Or, like, this part, I guess. So, like, this would kind of be like a negative collision zone. But the... Do you know what I mean? But that wouldn't really work, would it? I guess with a smaller one, we can just... It can just have more force. So, like, a little bump like this. I mean, it would probably be... yeah, I don't want it to be like... Yeah, I don't know, fuck. It's either that or we do the traces. Like, hovercar. Hovercar versus BB-8. So you kind of need to lower mass top part, really loose suspensions of pebbles and such on the road and kicking. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there would be suspension and whatnot. Although if the mass Yeah, no. It would suspend both ways. The capsule would be springing out on the thing. Yeah. What are you trying to make? I'm trying to make, like, a physically accurate character movement system. Because there's going to be, like, a lot of physical stuff in the game, and I want characters to be able to, like, hit each other and for it to, you know, react properly. And, like, big creatures to be able to push you around. But then, like, if there's, like, a lot of human people, they could, like, resist a big character. And I also want it to deal with, like, cumulative forces. So, like, if there's one person trying to push a big box, they wouldn't be able to overcome static friction. But if there was, like, a group of people all pushing on it at the same time, then, you know, they'd be able to push it. Which is stuff that, like, the standard character movement just doesn't factor in whatsoever. It's just a bit annoying. Are there any other issues with the sphere approach? I feel like it's not terrible. I guess we don't know until we freaking try, right? Because then we could do, like, maximum... Because, like, if a character moves faster than they're able to keep up... Because obviously we can only move our feet so fast, you know? If someone pushes us and we go faster than our maximum running capacity, we just eat shit and die. We could do that with the ball by giving it a maximum angular speed. And if it goes past that point, it will break. Like, it'll apply a backwards force, which would then in turn make the top of the character... It wouldn't be able to stabilize. You know what I mean? So, like, it would naturally eat shit and die. Person standing on a moving car wouldn't be stable. Yeah, I mean, that's the point. A person on a moving car would... Oh, wrong play mode. Yeah, nice errors. Would be like this, right? As this moves over, they get moved along, but it, like... It affects the feet, because that's the contact point. And then you have to, like... You have to compensate. Obviously, the animation's wrong here, but... But yeah, if the sphere had... Sphere is small enough you can still trip, etc. Yeah, well, that's why I was thinking, like, the radius would kind of need to be bigger than the, like, the sphere would need to be the radius from the pelvis, which is, like, how high you can lift your foot up to step on something. Or maybe just below. It would need to be that to the ground in order to model stepping up on things. But obviously, if it's that big, it means our collision is that big, which doesn't work. And Unreal doesn't have negative collision shapes, which I think it should. Can someone program negative collisions? Seems serialized capsule being upright to work. Maybe rotate is deserialized. Yeah, exactly. That's why I want to do this from scratch. Also, Jet, have a good sleep. Can't have the equivalent of one stable foot, one crazy collided foot, but that seems niche. Well, you could just have, like, the Oh, no, I get what you mean. Like, if you're half on... Well, actually, no, Ella. No, that's not necessarily true. Because we have the capsule, and we're facing this way, this is forward, we can technically, if we wanted to, maybe if it senses that we're colliding with two different objects at once, we could get separate, you know, get linear velocity at point for each of these. And then this one might be, if we're on a platform, like a moving platform going this way and another platform going this way or being stationary, then like only we'd apply the force at the feet from the traced location, not from the center of the capsule. So that would then rotate the character and also, yeah. I think doing the traces is like a safer approach. And also like maybe more controllable. I also think it deals with stepping up better than a sphere. Because I think a small sphere would just trip over stuff all the time. And it would have to have a big radius. I don't know. I worked on a cinema a few years ago. Used traces worked pretty good. You can find it on YouTube. HAS procedural animation. I will check that out. What's like the... Can you link it? Can you just link it in Twitch chat? Reverse pendulum quite literally sums up everything. Yeah. 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 Could write it so the traces are optional. If performance cost is meaningful, it can be applied to some characters, not others, or only some of the time. Yeah, exactly. I feel like for this character movement thing, for like characters that are off screen, I might just like, I don't know. Okay, here we go. Nice. So this is using like, yeah, okay, so it is all physics. So this is using traces. Ooh. Ooh. Nice. And so that's physically, yeah, no, I like that. Yeah. So is this using one capsule to represent like the mass of the character, or is it using physical animation? I like that foot placement. Oh, or are you doing a are you modeling both feet? Each bone is a body. Okay. Yeah. Because, yeah, I was wondering how you dealt with this. So, obviously, it chooses where its next step is going to be. Like in this example. With the stepping up. Yeah, that's a good... Yeah. That was a thought that I had, was like have fuck, do I really want to do fucking procedural fucking, because there was a diagram, right, that I was looking at. Human walking physics. Images. This little diagram. Yeah, link in new tab? Or image in new tab? Here we go. So, like, if we still had our capsule, right, which would represent all this, but then our line traces, like, work kind of like this. But is that, like, too much complexity? Because you could just be like, okay, yeah, like, we need to, like, take a step, let's look forward, find a good place to put our foot, and then we do a trace to there, and then, you know, it's just like springy stuff and whatnot, like usual. But then it's like we kind of lose control over authored animations because we don't want it to rely on animations whatsoever. But doing it like that, yeah, you would be able to stabilize yourself between, like, two ledges. If they're like two fences, you could sit in between them because each foot... But there's no guarantee that each foot would find that point to stand on. What video is that? That was... I can't even put it in the, what's it called? YouTube chat. Oh no, I probably could. Oh my god, ad blocker, do your job. There we go. WP HAS procedural animation. You can have a geese. Sounds like real world, to be fair, having climbed over a few countryside fences and fallen face first. Yeah. Alright, so I think we'll go with traces and hover vehicle mechanics for the character, not a BB-8 solution. I'm going to run an ad break, make a coffee, and then we will start doing it for reals. For reals. The final countdown. So, I'll see you all very shortly. Bye. Hello, I'm back. And I have coffee. Coffee. Blueprint C++ sends working grading blueprints, unfortunately. It will be in Blueprint initially, and then I'll migrate it to C++. Just because Blueprint's easier to, like, dick around with. For me, at least. I'm not a very competent C++ist, but I just want to do it in Blueprint and, like, distill it down to... It'll probably just be, like, a few functions, honestly. Like, I want it to be really... Just, like, there's this step, then there's that step, and then there's that step, and then it's pretty much good to go. So it should be really easy to convert. I don't want there to be any, like, edge cases. Like the regular character movement, you know? I don't want there to really be, like, states. Like the character movement has. I want it to kind of all just... You know... Like, the difference between... The difference between walking and running, or, like, wading through a puddle, should all be the same thing. You know, even, like, swimming, or swimming in a river, should essentially be, like, locomotion, you know? Because, like, if you think about it, when you're in water, you're just walking with your hands. And feet. You're walking with hands and feet, but you just can't, you know, it's not efficient. Because you're obviously in water. That's a very basic way of looking at it. But things like, I'm trying to move in this direction, but the wind is blowing on me. And so, like, I need to, like, lean further forward, because, like, otherwise I'm gonna, like, fall back. That should all be integrated into the logic of, like, trying to move this way, but it isn't working, or, like, I need to, you know. Do you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Like, given the current forces acting on me, how much do I need to lean and that kind of thing? So I think our general conclusion... Let me just save this sweet NFT. Sweet NFT about pyramids. There you go. So something... I think the general conclusion is we have a character capsule. We have our line trace. How do we move forward? My thinking is that we don't actually want to move the... We don't want to move the capsule, just be like, oh yeah, move it forward, or whatever. I think we actually want to represent it as... We can apply, like, a minimal... I don't know if we would apply a linear force to the head, which is representing, like, you know, the crux... Like the pivot here with, like, our feet. And, you know, if we lean our feet this way... Like, can we just represent the lean forward with a, you know... Or would it be the center of mass? Do we move our... We move our center of mass forward, don't we? So this moves forward. Feet stay where they are. Which means that, so we're moving center of mass forward, feet will push back this way to stay in place. And so that will then make our character lean this way. This will hit the ground at an angle. And this is where we exert our, like, our force. Well, technically, we're exerting force this way onto the ground. Michael Jackson lean, exactly. Which then, because, you know, that will then move us forward, basically. Like how a Segway works. So, Segway is like this. If this leans forward, then the wheel catches up to it, you know, that kind of thing. When I looked at movie 2.0, it says it doesn't rely on upright capsule. I have looked at it. I still don't really think that it does all the things that I need it to do. I think the way that, like, mover or, like, the character movement has developed, all the physics interaction stuff is kind of like it's like it's a fix rather than an inherent solution. Do you know what I mean? Because, like, the character movement is all based around, yeah, it's kinematic, it's super predictable, it's very controlled, it's very, like, restrained. And then people are like, oh, like, I'm using all these, like, physical objects in my game, and, like, they're just getting yeeted around everywhere, or I can't move them, or they're not pushing me around. And they're like, okay, well, let's think, okay, what if we got the output of the character movement velocity, and then just tried to make a capsule match that? And that's our character movement now. And, like, and I don't even know if it works in all three. Like, how does it handle bumps, you know? Like, if there's a small bump, and obviously in the character movement component, the capsule takes up the entire the character space. Can it do step-up logic in the physics and stuff? Because usually it would just snap up. But if it's physically simulated, then what happens, you know? So that's why I want to go with, like, a suspended hover cart / Segway hybrid from the get-go. Will there be replication? Yeah, no, yeah, it'll be replicated. I use Smooth Sync for, like, locational... what's it called? So I think with characters... it's kind of difficult... because obviously you can disable physics on one of the clients. I feel like if all the true physics, like the authoritative physics, is running on the server, and then on the client's side, they have the authority, but then I feel like for the clients, they would be interacting physically with a bit of lag, you know? Like, if they were trying to push a crate, it would look like they're exerting force on the crate on their end, but it would technically be happening on the server, and then the positions would be updating. Yeah. Yeah, from the marketplace. It works surprisingly well with physics. I think it uses, like, Valve's movement prediction method or something. It literally just predicts, or, like, smoothly syncs rotation, you know, acceleration, all that kind of stuff based on, like, it sends through the acceleration, and it sends through the you know. Here says a cube just big enough for a rigid body collider to step on it would fling person upward 10 meters. Well, yeah, that's wrong freaking play mode. Anyway, that's what this. That's something that we'd have to figure out, obviously. But yeah, that not standalone game. Can I just like set simulate as the default? Yeah, that is something that will need to be figured out. Because, like, yeah, this happens, right? Like, they just kind of get yeeted on top of things. I think it would be fine if we were doing the 4 traces around the character. I'd probably use the midpoint of all the traces as the floor point. So if it was like in the middle and like one of them was up here and one of them was down here, the character would almost act as though this was like a slope, if you know what I mean. So it would like smoothly step up onto this. Rather than just like being like completely down there and then all of a sudden it's up here and it, you know, bounces a bit. And then the other thing I need to look into is how to deal with this. Like, you know, obviously if this like hits it at the bottom, they should like get yeeted over like that. That should also happen to the feet. But I wonder if they've fixed, if they have fixed the query. Oh, sorry, not query. What's it called? Probe. The probe simulation. Simulation mode. So cube, blah, 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 physics, or collision. Collision enabled, probe only, or query and probe. So contact data, but no